Wow. Let's see. This is Formula 3. Yep. We need to fix. Man. Oh shit. I need to fix that later. See, is everything okay? I wanna be the very best that have ever lived, and I will go to the Pokemon Stadium. Or not. Let's see. Yes. Done. Done under. Move stuff away. And yeah. It's Formula 1 weekend hype. It's Formula 3, it's Formula 2, it's Formula 1, it's some IndyCar also. I don't know, it's sound like something will happen. I don't know anything. Yeah, something will happen. And well, I can maybe find how. I mean, please, there we have it. Yeah, this fucking 1 million channels. Like, the fuck is this? I have. The only thing I know about this is it will be the points. There's no points for driving this, so this is just for fun. But for more fun stuff, or how fun Formula 3 can actually be, I don't know. I would say IndyCar is maybe more fun than Formula 3 and Formula 2, but that's slightly better. But we want standings, we want the information. And how do I find that? The practice, please. And then we... Oh, here we have it. So yeah, let's see what happened in the qualifying. I missed the crash. Oh, was this the most lamest crash ever? Yeah, someone almost crashed, saved it, and then just had apparently too much get into a corner a little too fast and just crash out, and then red flag in Formula 3. And yeah, that was lame. So then everything stopped, and then wait time, and then it got going again. And I think then someone, it was Formula 2 or someone crashed in the end, but it must be Formula 2. Someone crashed, but okay, Formula 3. Let's see. I mean, the only one I care about is Beganovic. Hopefully he will have a good race. He didn't have a good race in the first race when he started pole. That was really depressing. So he have maybe 2 points. Yeah, 2 points. It's so depressing. And where do we have Flourish? No. Okay. No, there we have our 25. Hype. I mean, it's not lost. So let's see. Oh my god, she can maybe be even better if she get the car better. Okay, let's see. And maybe this person could also be interesting to see. But do you care about any more of these people? No. So, okay, Beganovic is the most I care about. So hopefully he will have a... I mean, getting 2 points. Getting more than 2 points in either sprint or the race. It's already better for Beganovic. So... I mean, if he gets less points and then that will be not fun. So hope he will have a good race and a good sprint race. And I think he will, I mean, if he start... So yeah. He started 3. And then I switch out at 12, so he will start... Let's say 12, 11, 10th in the sprint. So hopefully we'll succeed to get past some people and win and get some points. And then more fun stuff in Formula 2. Let's see results. And that's it. The biggest hype ever. So, people that are from Norway have a good day. Dennis Hager, or what do you call him, succeeded to get the pole position. Yeah. I think he... And I don't know if he slowed down, but he had a yellow sector. Well, the second sector was yellow. And someone crashed out or something. So on the almost all attempt in Formula 2 was under yellow flag in sector 2. But he succeeded. Hopefully he will keep the pole position. It sounded like it was his first pole position, so they made the the person from Norway really happy to see him succeeding with that. Antonelli is showing that he's maybe good for now. Olven Berman, where did he... Oh my god. 16. Man, it's not going well for Olven Berman. I mean... Oh yeah, no, was it Formula 2? Either way, someone crashed. Oh, there must be Formula 3. Someone took a corner too fast and hit a barrel or something, and the wheel got loose or something. But he just kept driving on the straight to maybe not make a red flag or something. But hey, luckily for people that came after him and that could finish the quality lap. Let's see, do we have anything more to mention? Oh, Bortoletto can have a fun sprint race. And Mayata have less fun. And Oliver Behrman the least fun. But he have more fun in Formula 1. That's a good thing. He have maybe secured a race seat in house for 2025. Yeah, and time for what you can say is the most interesting from all of Formula 3, Formula 2 and IndyCar. There's of course Formula 1 and seeing Max Verstappen. Did he? Let's see, where do we have the times? Don't we go? And then, London Norris and Charles Leclerc. So Max Verstappen secured his P2. So can this be a Charles Leclerc win or London Norris win? Well, hopefully, I mean, will it? No. I mean, people say it's so close. Yeah, in qualifying, then you watch the race and it's not close at all. But I still think Max will probably win. Charles Leclerc maybe P2, and it will be fun to see Lando Norris P3. First podium for McLaren this season, and before Mercedes even got one podium. There will be, and Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team. RB Honda RB PT. The fuck is this name? They are Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team. Come on. Stop with these fake names. Kick Sauber. They are Stake F1 Formula... No. Stake F1 team Kick Sauber. Why not Stake? Okay, but yeah, Visa Cash App, what do we have done in Ricardo? Yeah, they have been looking good in the practice. So hopefully their first points. And yeah, Albon looked good before he crashed. And from what I've seen, it will be some interesting news because Logan Sargent have apparently, let's see, Williams' brutal F1 sacrifice at Australian GP explained. So that will be watched from the race soon, or soon after P1. Hello, Durhandi. Are you hyped for another Max Verstappen win in Formula 1? Or are you more hyped for maybe Formula 2, Formula 3? Or maybe IndyCar? Let's see. Yeah, Visa Cash App look good. Alex Albon maybe look good. Hopefully Haas will not look good. Like the cheating point they got the last race was well, fun for other people, not fun for me, because I can clearly see it was a point got cheated. Eller Kevin Magnusson cheated a point for Kevin Magnusson. No. Kevin Magnusson cheated a point for Hulkenberg. So, and yeah, I've not seen have Alpine look good. Where do we have Alpine? Kick Sauber. They are Alpine and Kick Sauber is the people that are fighting each other. The fuck did Hamilton do? It's practice 2. What are you doing, Lewis Hamilton? Why are you so washed? And then we have Russell must be high up. There we have him. Then we have Russell. There we have him. So he will have a fun race. More fun race than Lewis Hamilton probably. What more could be said? Aston Martin also look good. Or at least, oh no, Lance Stroll. What are you doing up there? And Fernando, why are you so down? No, they should be here. Man, Lance Stroll. Man, could this lead to him crashing this race also? Being up here to fight for good points and then waste it. Okay, but that's all fun stuff that I would say before the practice. So now it's time for... Oh, let's see. I need to start up the game. So I have something to do. Do some reaction of the YouTube clips. So we fix that and then we go. God damn it, come on. Why are you not there? And the first clip. Oh wait. Do I? Oh, I have not. God damn it. Okay, here we have it. I should have done that and done. Bam. Okay, so we have the first clip. Our reaction to the incident packed Australia Friday practice. I mean, Alex Albon crashed, so you can do that. But I would say Formula 2, Formula 3 had more stuff happening. And that was just in qualifying. Formula 1 had 2 practice. Or 2 practice sessions. So more should have happened in the practice. But let's see. Oh, first we start the game. Well, let's start. We what do you say? You're in the world. And here we have it. So today I will... What will be doing? Probably removing and fixing so the all stone is gone and the glass window is installed. So you can look out to this place. Like here. So all the stone will go away. And the glass will be installed. Maybe more glass in the, you can say, the roof. Yeah, but while we're doing that, it's time to hear what P1 have to say.
Practice for the Australian Grand Prix. Let's get into free practice 1, and the big story has to be
Lando Norris P1.
Alex Albon, and the fact that...
Oh no. Did it? Oh yeah. He crashed in P1. Logan didn't have any practice 2. And what I hear, Logan Sargent will have no practice 3 or qualifying or race the next day, so...
He crashed at exactly the same place that he did last year.
And the crash, that was... I mean, he was on the curbs, and I just ran right and almost... I don't know how to say it, but he just went right into the wall and then into this wall.
You wouldn't think is the biggest story. Okay, he's made another mistake, but the problem linking with that this weekend is that Williams, they ain't got no spare parts. They ain't got another tub to give Alex Albon in the case of him damaging this one with the impact, which
so
I think
you need
has
to
in some way because he didn't run in free practice
stay
2.
off.
And a very strange situation for Williams to be in.
I mean, maybe. But is it really that strange? I mean, if it's new car and you don't have all the new stuff, and you're trying to make the car so late as possible, then you will have not so many parts to change.
I'm a little bit shocked that already at this stage of the season, Williams are trying to save where they can.
For a team to go into a race like this,
and also I don't think they will waste anything to keep Logan Sargent out of the race. I mean, maybe they're saving a lot of money and parts to not have him drive.
No spare chassis is a bold decision, to say the least. And Alex Albon may have just cost his team big, because he might not even do qualifying tomorrow at this rate. Who knows?
Oh, they don't know. Logan Sargent have lost his car to Alex Albon.
Shocking.
So this is apparently before the news.
The fact that I said Alex Albon Q3 in my bold prediction, and then he's probably not even going to do qualifying, it's just peak my prediction.
You're lucky, he will.
Shocking.
Question from N33_Emma. Should another driver be able to take over their teammate's chassis due to significant damage, like in the Albon incident? Look, it's a Formula 1 team at the end of the day. These drivers take part as part of a Formula 1 team, and should they decide that...
Like they did to Mark Webber with Sebastian Vettel. If you have a first driver, the second driver will get the broken wing.
Their better driver should take part in the weekend. I think that is definitely... Well, it's in the rules. You're allowed to do it. Whether it's emotionally correct is up for debate. So it is a difficult decision, don't get me wrong, because James Vowles has been hyping
really
Logan up over the off-season. You know, he's back, he's fresh, he's feeling good. I've not seen any indication that he's driving any better than he did last year. As of right now, he made mistakes in free practice today as well. So it's a difficult decision, don't get me wrong. It's pretty cutthroat, but it's Formula 1.
It is Formula 1. It can be a very harsh sport. And of course, from Logan's side, he will be like, well, I'm not the one that crashed here, so you can understand why he'd be gutted
but you're
about
not good
it if
either,
he
so...
couldn't take part because his teammate crashed. But based on the form for the whole of last season and the start of this season, they are more likely, like you say, to get points with Alex Albon. So perhaps that's the way to go. But yeah, it's not...
And that will
not the best start for Williams
100% for the car.
Come on, Tommy. Let's put ourselves in James Vowles' position here. Let's not...
Vår trafik har fastnat i ett beroende av fossila bränslen. Vi på Vattenfall hjälper den att bryta sig loss genom att installera snabbladdningsstationer för elbilar på tusentals allmänna platser, köpcentrum och arbetsplatser. Vi arbetar för fossilfrihet.
Axe Dark Temptation Body Spray.
Please. One more 20-second ad.
allt är möjligt med en oemotståndlig fräsch doft. Lukta oemotståndlig. The Axe Effect.
Let's not flirt on the fence here. Let's not, what are we doing? Let's make a decision here. In my opinion, if I'm James Fowles, I go, thank you, Logan, for your participation this weekend.
You can go home now.
Have you sit on the sidelines, put Alex in the car. He will then be like, oh my god, that's so unfair. And then James Fowles will then reply and say, well, you have 23 more races than you should really technically have this year. Then.
Yeah, true. So if you don't score any points of these, then you will maybe not be in the car for the next season.
Perhaps what your performances suggest last year. So therefore, that's not that big of a deal. That's how I deal with it, and I'm sure James would have some lovely, eloquent words to make him feel better.
Yeah, you've got to go for Albon. It's a mad thing to say because, and there'll be a lot of people going, but he's the one that crashed. But based on all the form, Albon's the one that's going to give you a chance of points. So harsh on Logan, but and it's Albon's fault totally. But you've got to. This is Formula One, like we've said so many times as well. Points are going to be so scarce this year with the reliability of Formula One now and how many top teams there are. So every point's going to count.
Top teams. I see just Red Bull. Then we have Ferrari. Then we maybe have Mercedes and McLaren. So I would say, and then Aston Martin. So maybe 5 top teams. But Mercedes might be more, would soon maybe not be a top team with their lack of performance.
Let's kind of reflect a little bit more on those off-track moments, because we saw in free practice 1 Alonso, Hamilton, Perez, Verstappen all going off at some point during free practice 1, and then the question from Jack J. Sexton. Could there be a red flag during the race given how much damage the cars seem to be taking? I am now starting to realise how much I've missed non-concrete runoff. God, it's so good to see a driver make a mistake and actually be punished. Albert Park is the greatest track on earth. I watch it, they're having a swapper, they're off onto the grass, they're going over the gravel, they're being punished. They can't just carry on. Oh, they got a track limit warning. Whoop-de-doo. This is a
Maybe true, but you don't also want to see them crash and make red flags.
A racing track, and I'm loving to see the fact that they're having to rein it in a little bit. Saudi, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of walls in Saudi, but there are also a bit of runoff that you can make mistakes at the high-speed corners. For this, you make a mistake, you are penalised massively, and I love that.
You don't want to see... you don't watch Formula One for drivers to DNF, but you want some jeopardy. That's part of it. You want to see incidents. You want to see drivers being punished. They're meant to be, the best drivers in the world. You want to see. It should be difficult. You want it to be difficult, and in that,
the Lewis Hamilton era wasn't so difficult. So. And maybe Michael Schumacher era. Was it either so difficulty? I mean, it's difficulty for all the low teams.
That session, I really hope that I hope it continues the rest of the weekend to a point, and we see incidents during the weekend, because we've probably seen more drivers going off and it actually being significant and dramatic than we have probably for the entire season so far, and it's only been 2 races, but this is practice.
And just to clarify, incidents, you mean mistakes, obviously not crashes. Just to kind of clear that up, because I know what incidents can obviously mean. And to answer your question, Jack, yes, I do think there could be a red flag. As we said last year, it was absolute carnage. The wind is also a factor again this weekend that catching drivers out. So yeah, we could see a red flag, as we could with most weekends, but I think there is a higher likelihood around here, because you have a big crash in a certain area and there is no way of continuing racing. So yes, we shall see. Free practice 2 now, and I'm going to enjoy reflect.
Man, nothing mentioned about Bosch Hamilton. That's sad.
Maybe on this one, because Charles Leclerc was fastest. ahead of Verstappen and Carlos Sainz, but so far ahead he can hardly see him in his rear view mirror. 17.2, nearly 4/10 clear, and well, that's amazing. I hadn't even seen what the first question is, but it comes in from...
Oh yeah, I think you put Max Verstappen as the pole position, to get pole position when Charles Leclerc, maybe we can get it now.
Joshua Page. How Delulu is Matt right now? You caught me mid-Delulu. That is amazing. No, the belief has gone through the roof with that. With not just that lap, but the consistency that Leclerc showed with the fast times in free practice too. Of course, he made a mistake or two along the way, but Ferrari look quick, and I'm not just saying that like I do every weekend. Ferrari genuinely look quick. Where I'm ready to put everything on the line again. You know, championship back on.
Yeah, they're looking very good. Verstappen had a lot of issues.
Don't look good.
I'd be amazed if Leclerc got pole by 4/10, but I wouldn't be amazed if Leclerc got pole based on
and then
how it's
Max
going.
wins.
So yeah, I think it's certainly made qualifying a lot more intriguing tomorrow. It's exciting.
As you mentioned very briefly, Max Verstappen did have some issues. I think he was about 15 minutes late to...
Oh yeah, floor damage or something. He was in the garage for a really long time. So maybe that will make Charles Leclerc pole position and then victory even more easy.
Getting out there due to some floor damage that he had from free practice 1, and that's it. That is literally it. One wide moment through that incredibly fast and quite possibly one of the most underrated corners, I think, in the whole of Formula 1. That fast left-right in the middle sector is... like, it's great and everyone, we appreciate it, but I don't feel like it's spoken about that much when we actually move away from Australia. And it is so awesome to see those cars go through there. And Martin Brundle, you know, he was down there. You can see he's in awe as well. And we've seen many camera angles from that particular spot, you know, flying into that left-hander where it's one of the only static cameras where you go, my God, these cars are quick.
Yeah.
So yes, that was an area that lots of drivers were making mistakes, not just going on the gravel, but just running a little bit wide onto the exit curb, and just with how much they're bottoming out, that can damage the floor quite significantly as well. So, and especially for someone like Carlos Sainz, it's probably going to damage his body a little bit as well. It's going to be an uncomfortable ride if you make a mistake through there. So, fascinating to watch that throughout the weekend. Question from Jan_Trubasic. How...
No! One more time. That we can still skip.
Is Hamilton this far off Russell? Is his head already in 2025? And in
yes,
can't
he's
imagine
washed.
the car being this bad for him and his driving
He'll never
style.
be good again.
Okay, so Jan, I'm just going to say right here and right now, it is practice. So
yeah, says the one that get hyped when Leclerc is fastest. Yeah. I mean, it's just a practice, but we need to hype up Charles Leclerc. Yeah.
Let's just rein it in slightly. If he ends qualifying 9/10 down on Russell, then we can have the conversation. But Hamilton very clearly struggling today.
That's, I mean, a great year for George Russell.
And yeah, it's if anything, it's got worse. Like Mercedes have got worse this year in some ways. Like they're falling further and further behind Red Bull, and how many more years is this going on for? And then you think, has Hamilton actually made quite a good decision here? Going to Ferrari,
he have.
Because
Ferrari
look where
will be
Ferrari
so
are
much
right
better.
now. At least they're showing potential over one lap. They're getting better in the race. But no, I'm not going to jump to conclusions that Hamilton is that far behind Russell. But there are clear problems that they've had today.
I think I heard correctly in the session that they've reverted back to their old floor as well, and you've just got to think like...
I mean, this is so amazing. They don't know how to fix the car after 3 years of trying to make a car. I mean, all the talk that Red Bull is doomed and that Christian Horner will make Red Bull fall off and it's doomsday and everything. Mercedes is the only team that still have not made a good car.
how are they ever going to beat Red Bull? If
and then Hamilton leaves, then they will be even more bad. And maybe more people want to leave Mercedes and go to Ferrari to build up Ferrari to the glorious days.
Going back to old or like completely, they changed their whole car last year, halfway through last year. They're not pushing forward and they keep making like steps backwards and go, we actually.
And this is also amazing. Aston Martin can maybe be better than Mercedes soon.
Need to revert back to this or do this. Like, they're never going to get anywhere near Red Bull. So, at the moment, I mean, you've got Ferrari looking very good indeed. The decision of Hamilton leaving looks like a pretty good one as it stands, because Mercedes are not having a good time at all.
No, they're not. They're seeming like they're lacking direction, and as you say, reverting to this, changing things mid-season. It feels like they're scrapping around, just trying to find a miracle to get back towards the front, and that's not what we've come to.
I think Toto Wolff said, or Hamilton said, his team never makes mistakes, so I don't know what they're talking about.
To expect from Mercedes for so many years, and it's very strange to see them in this sort of
also, you can say maybe Mercedes will be the new Williams
period of time. But look, it's all competitive tomorrow, where we will be live on Twitch.
Probably not, but maybe the new
Alpine. Followed us already, and we will be. It's gonna be an interesting one. You're gonna have seen me and Tommy crawling out of bed, not the same bed, I wish, but we we are going to be some serious amounts of Delulu, I promise you that, and I will be waking up my entire neighbourhood if Charles Leclerc is on pole. So we'll see you then. Tommy, what you find?
I will not go up from bed to watch this. I will skip the bed and just watch it.
My thoughts?
My final thoughts are that it's been nice.
You thought it was done.
I know. It's been nice to actually talk about some incidents in practice. So, if we get a banging race, good quali, and there's lots of incidents, then I think it's time to start lining these new circuits with grass right up to the edges of the track. And we've found the solution to Formula 1.
Lovely. We're not doing any knee-jerk reactions here, and we will see you tomorrow for our quali reaction. Lots of love. Bye.
Okay, that was that. I mean, wait, did they have... No, talk about Aston Martin. They mentioned Lando Norris, but not Lando Norris and Piastri, Fitzpatrick. Or the Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team. They showed Aston Martin probably when Alonso was driving outside the track. Okay. But for more fun stuff.
Påskren är igång nu.
Quiet. It's time to learn about some Williams stuff from the race. Williams brutal F1 sacrifice at Australian GP explain. I mean, brutal. I would say justice, but justice demands retribution.
Out of the Australian
Oh shit, so low.
Grand Prix weekend already is a car swap at Williams. Scott, what's going on? How have we ended up in this situation? Or should I say, how have Williams ended up in this situation?
Alex crashed again.
Very simply, Alex Albon has had a big crash in Friday practice. So big that his chassis is unusable, irreparable on the weekend itself. So Williams has made the difficult decision to give him Logan Sargent's car, basically, for the rest of the weekend, because it doesn't have a spare for him. So Sargent stood down, and Albon takes over his teammate's car for the remainder of the Australian Grand Prix.
That's a brutal decision. Ed, you're in Australia, so we appreciate you staying up to talk to us about this. Is this a bit harsh on Sargent? And I say that as someone who thought he was lucky to keep the drive after...
Yeah, the good guys is speaking now.
His rookie season last year. Williams told us they kept him on because they believe in him and all those sort of great things that you say in a press release. Does this tell us, though, that they don't really believe in him? I feel quite sorry for him.
Well, it's certainly harsh, but I would say it's absolutely necessary. Williams has to make the best possible choice it can to maximise its chance of points, because points mean prizes in the form of the financial reward at the end of the season, around $10 million per position in the championship, and then that's money that can be invested in improving the team, making it better. So there's a lot at stake here. And I think ultimately it's just saying, look, Alex Albon has been the superior Williams driver for the past 12, 13 months. Why should that change? We've got to back the one who, despite the fact he's crashed on Friday, is most likely to deliver the points. So that's what it's about. It's a pure, rational racing decision. Harsh on Sargent, certainly not his fault, but entirely reasonable for a race team to do that.
I certainly agree with Ed that it's harsh, but it's within the realms of being fair from a sporting point of view. I think what would be a lot worse, for example, is if Williams was in this position without a spare car and had said to the drivers, right, if you crash it, that's it, you're out of the rest of the weekend, and then went, oh, actually, now that Alex has done it, we want to put him in because we believe in him more. I think that crosses a line, and it's one of those situations where I'm sure there'll be people that don't want to hear this, but it is kind of a life's not fair situation, because F1 isn't about doing what's fair and what's right, it's about doing what's right for the team. And while you could argue that the driver more likely to crash is now the one that's doing the rest of the weekend, he is also the faster of the two drivers. Where I have sympathy for Sargent kind of comes into what you were saying before, Glenn, but it's a case of it's race 3 of this season. You're giving him this season to prove that the faith is justified. Yes, he's had a slow start to the year, but benching him now is the kind of thing that can have such a big impact on his confidence and be such a big blow. Does he actually... It's not a case of, like, will he ever recover from this? It's not that big a setback, but it is the kind of thing that mentally can take quite a big toll.
And to be absolutely brutal on it, if you don't want to be the one that this happens to, be the better driver.
Yeah, I mean, that is fair enough.
True. With a better driver, and you will
I'm not a particular Sargent believer, so I thought...
Like, maybe Max Verstappen have, I don't know, just Verstappen trying to break it up. Christian Horner, they talks about he's trying to break it up. Helmut Marko is apparently maybe leaving. I mean, but before that, the team was behind Max Verstappen 100%.
He was quite fortunate to keep his drive. I thought that it was maybe a reflection of a lack of options.
You could say You could say Mercedes is also 100% behind Lewis Hamilton, but Lewis Hamilton is not 100% behind his team.
I do think, looking down the road, he's now got a whole season where this is in the back of his mind going, well, clearly, if it's ever left up to me to get the job done, the team doesn't think I can. That says to me that while they kept him for this year, as soon as a better option's available, potentially for 2025, he's going to be gone. So I think there's been some damage done there, but I see your point that is the damage that's been done just that the guy who wasn't scoring points anyway still isn't going to score points.
The one thing I would say is that it could be tremendous fuel for him if he's not going to be able to do it this weekend.
To use it, wouldn't it?
Exactly. He needs his psychological response to this needs to be, I'll show them. I'll show anybody who thinks that they've done the right thing here, and I'll show them for doing it that I can be trusted in this situation. His only way to respond now is on track, and actually on the same vein, sort of spare a bit of a thought for Albon in this situation, because you don't want to be the guy who then crashes the other car. He's probably now under more pressure than he's ever been in a Williams to score points and get a big result.
Oh my god, hopefully he doesn't crash again. I'm hoping for my prediction is at least one Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team in the points, and Alex Albon also in the points. So hopefully no more crashing by Alex Albon.
Grand Prix.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And now, Scott, this is unprecedented. In modern F1, we've not had a driver pulled out of his car during a weekend to hand it over to his teammate. We've not seen that. Why are Williams in this situation? Because usually, if a guy writes a chassis off, it doesn't mean he's out of the weekend.
Yeah, exactly. And we're in a situation that is, you're right, unprecedented in that sense. We've seen that kind of slightly more conventional version before, and every time it's pretty much been Williams, where they've had a parts shortage, or so they've either stood. I think it was twice in 2019. Robert Kubica stood down before one weekend, one race, and in the middle of another. And it's all part of the same problem, which is why I reference it, because back then, you remember 2019 was that season when Williams missed the start of pre-season testing because of a terrible car build. Well, this year they were late. It didn't quite come to missing pre-season testing, but they had all sorts of trouble. They were late on the car build, behind on production. They're missing performance parts on the car.
I don't know if this is because making the car did just go, or they try to make it so late as possible. I mean, they try to make it so late as possible, but was it because mostly they try to wait for Mercedes to give the right parts, or was it because stuff they wanted to do didn't get finished in time? So,
because they've had another horrible winter. Another winter where nothing quite goes to plan, and they're rushing around trying to get everything together. And one of the consequences of that, which we've only learned because this situation has arisen, is that they haven't been able to produce a spare chassis in time. I think the third one was meant to be ready for Japan, which is the next race in a couple of weeks' time, which meant Williams was in, I think James Vowles, the team boss, called it an unacceptable situation in modern F1 of coming to the third race of the season without a spare. And not just the third race, the second in a row where the track is lined with really unforgiving walls. So you've got, I think, two of the most likely tracks on the calendar that are going to do a chassis, and you've taken that massive gamble. So it exposes this inherent limitation.
I mean, the gamble is someone that will maybe not get points will still not get points because they can't drive, because they don't have a car to drive. I mean, it's not like a gamble at Red Bull, if Red Bull would have done that. And they were fighting for championship or construction championship. The gamble is just to make sure they score a point. And then made so Alex Albon got the car.
It's a pretty damning indictment of where Williams is, and that gamble has absolutely backfired.
Yeah, and they'll have known that this was a limitation going into these first few races. The drivers would have been under strict instructions to really try not to break the chassis. So Albon probably, when he had his impact, thought, oh dear, this has gone wrong. And they probably worked out what they would do in this scenario as well. So you'd hope that they've stuck with that. But yeah, it's a horrible situation for a F1 team to be in. It's not a small trivial thing. It's a huge error. You wouldn't say, right, we're going to go into the season without this. You only do that if something's gone wrong.
And I will say, whether I agree with the decision or not, credit to James Vowles. As you said, Scott, he's fronted up to this. You know, to have the team boss saying this is unacceptable, and we'll hear a lot more from him over the weekend where he won't shy away from this. That's to his credit. But Ed, is this all a bit moot, given that probably a couple of days from now it's going to be Sunday night, and Alex Albon's probably going to finish 13th. So we've gone through all of this effort, and are Williams probably not going to score a point anyway?
No, they will.
Well, ultimately, there's a top 5 group and a bottom 5 group, and Williams is in the bottom 5 group in terms of teams. So it's...
I mean, look, they just need to get past Haas, and hopefully George Russell and Lewis Hamilton crash in together, and then Stroll may crash out, and then we have two RB left. Visa cash up RB from the one team in the points, and a William car, and hopefully no Haas. And they can fight for their last position.
It's going to be hard to score a point. However, things can happen here. There are walls there, as we've discussed, so there is a chance. Alex Albon was 11th in the last race in Saudi Arabia. So what you want is one driver in your one car to get the absolute maximum out of what you've got. And whether that's P18, P15, P12, P6, whatever, you want to know that you've done everything you possibly can, because if there's a race, let's say there's some crashes up front and 3 or 4 cars are out, you need a Williams to be one of those cars that scores. You can't leave anything to chance when it comes to this. Yeah, there's every chance we might get to Sunday night and it'll be P13, and that was all that was possible. And you might say then it was all in vain, but it wouldn't have been, because perhaps Logan Sargent would have been P15. Now, you can come up with all sorts of hypotheticals. You could say this is the moment that Logan Sargent, everything would have clicked and he'd have been in the points, but history tells us that's unlikely. Exactly, yeah. But you've got to, as a team, leave no stone unturned in pursuing the ultimate results. And I think that's the thing that actually reflects really well on Williams. Yeah, they've got a long way to go, but they're willing to take a tough decision, to expose themselves to the world and say, right, we're making this choice. We are being harsh to one of our drivers. We are risking him losing confidence or whatever. But we think this is the best route to a potential result. Whether they get that result or not, it doesn't really matter.
And they could have got a good... also from Alex Albon probably. Some points in Saudi Arabia and maybe even in Bahrain. So the car can score points.
They have played their hand the best way that they possibly can, and I think that reflects very well on that Williams team and James Vowles' leadership as well, that he's willing to take that tough decision and, as we said, front up about...
I mean, is it really that tough? You're saying just a slightly bad driver is just slightly bad.
The problems they've had, like, and that could well pay off in many ways. It's a decision that deserves to pay off, because it's all about what works best for the team. And if at the end of the season that means a place in the Constructors' Championship, possibly even more than that if it's really tight, then absolute vindication.
The one thing as well that it says about the sort of bigger picture that Williams is in ties exactly to that point that Ed's making, which is the only reason Williams found itself in this position. You can go and look at the full video we did on this channel about that. Is a hard decision, conscious decision that Williams made under Vowles and Chief Technical Officer Pat Fry to make life hard for itself over the winter. They've got very outdated processes and systems in place there. Williams wanted to change that basically all in one go through the pain now, set themselves up for bigger gains to be made in the future. Now they wouldn't have wanted it to come to this, but like Ed said, in this situation here, they're willing to front up and take on those difficult decisions, frame them as difficult decisions, hold their hands up and say we're making trouble for ourselves, but it is all about making bigger gains in the future. It's a lot of short-term pain. They had that over the winter. Logan Sargent is feeling that now. He said this is obviously the hardest thing he's had to do in his career. He might not be particularly thankful, but the only thing Williams can do in the bigger picture and now the rest of this weekend is actually justify it and prove that it was all worthwhile.
And hopefully it will. Okay, go away ad. We don't need to watch the ad when the clip has ended. That will just be a waste of time. Oh, god damn it. Let's see. I mean, they call it brutal. I would just say that's just, yeah, brutal sacrifice. I mean, what do you mean? What is brutal? The brutal stuff would be, no longer, sorry, we first of all we take your car and then we also fire you, because why not? That would be brutal. Or in mid-season they say, no longer, sorry, and we don't want you anymore. We feel like a Red Bull thought about Nick de Vries. You will never be better, so you will not be in the team for the rest of the season. That I would call also brutal, but saying that the slow person is slow, so the fast driver get to drive the car, I wouldn't say that is so brutal. Be happy that you is still in the team. That I would say. I mean, that's I would say is brutal for the team that they need to keep him. Okay, but yeah, time for the next video that will maybe do some more Williams talk, and it's from the Formula World, and they talked to Logan Sargent withdrawn as Alex Albon given his car. Let's see what he thoughts about that.
F1 word and to a
Oh my god, also low.
super quick breaking news video. Now, during FP1 for the Australian Grand Prix, Alex Albon lost his car on the exit of turn 6, hitting the wall on the inside and outside of turn 7 before scraping down the barrier. All of that caused extensive damage to his Williams and brought out the red flag. Albon was okay following the crash, although he did miss practice too, and his chassis will now be returned to Williams HQ for repair. However, as it turns out, there is no spare chassis available in Australia for the team, something James Vowles called unacceptable, but explained is simply a reflection of how far behind the team were over the winter and an illustration of why they need to go through significant change in order to be in a better position for the future. All of that meant difficult decisions need to be made for the rest of the week.
I mean, that would seeing Williams up there again. That will be so fun to see. Seeing them winning races. Championship is maybe too far off. If not the Porsche or of the car factory want to get involved in Williams again. Until that happens, I would say just race wins can maybe. I'll be first is podiums, and then we have race wins. But yeah, so the future can be bright.
Weekend in Melbourne. Therefore, Williams has taken the decision to give Alex Albon Logan Sargent's car for the rest of the weekend, and as a result, Sargent has obviously been withdrawn from FP3 qualifying and the race in Australia. Brutal. Why did the team do that though?
Oh my god, you also say brutal. What do you mean brutal? I would say it's more brutal for the team that is still in the team.
Just withdraw Albon, who of course made the mistake himself. Well, Vowles explained that while Sargent should not have to suffer from an error he did not make, in what looks to be a tight midfield battle this season, every point is going to count, and so the call was made based on the team's best potential to score points in Australia.
True.
To be fair, Sargent has accepted the decision in good grace, saying he'll be there for the team and will continue to contribute in any way this weekend that he can to maximise what Williams can achieve. He did, though, understandably describe all of this as the hardest moment he can remember in his career. So
Why?
to summarise this already fairly short video, Albon takes Sargent's car and Sargent sits the rest of the weekend out. It's got to be said, though, it is very harsh that Logan has to miss out because of Albon's crash. The thing is, though, I can totally see where the team are coming from. Ultimately, if they think Albon is their best chance of scoring points, which, to be fair, based on the last 12 months, he absolutely is, then it makes sense to have him race for you on Sunday. He did, after all, score 27 of the team's 28 points last season. Still, though, it is a brutal call on Sargent, and hopefully all...
Come on, it's not brutal. I mean, it would be brutal for the team to keep him and not score any points.
Pays off. I will say as well, it's going to be a tricky weekend for Albon to navigate now, surely. He cannot afford any more mistakes, because if he has a crash that does similar levels of damage in another session and writes off another chassis, neither driver will be racing on Sunday. I will leave it with this thought, though, and it's something we can discuss another time. But if Williams does not believe Sargent is capable of scoring points in a car that they clearly feel has the potential to do so, why did they keep him on for 2024? Like I say...
I mean, they're hoping that he will be better. But hopefully it's time for Mick Schumacher to maybe shine in Williams or Mercedes, hopefully.
Hey, though, that's a conversation for another day. Anyway, I've been up all night and my bed is calling, so I'm off to bed. That is it for this quick news video, but I will be back on Monday at 7 PM GMT with the Australian Grand Prix debrief live stream. But before you go, if you could consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing, that would be massively appreciated, as it really does help the channel out. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.
If you're a small...
Oh. Fake ad scam. That's... Well, I will not have it played. Eller... I will have it played. I will not have it played on the screen. I mean, this is the best part. Watching ad that you can, first of all, get really weird phone games ad. And even better, you can make people like this scam ad pay for a scam ad if you let it get in play. Did I mess this up? This one block. Low? Or is it? Okay, the ad is over. We can let's see. I watched that. Oh, the best part. Okay, I will say he apparently also think it's brutal. I'm gonna say it's brutal, but his choice. But here we'll have the legend in Formula 1, Peter Vindsor. And I would say he is mostly, as soon as he doesn't talk anything about Lewis Hamilton, he will give some really good takes. And if he doesn't talk about Sergio Perez, no, it will be one block. Because but except for that, he will do a really good analysis of the practice, qualifying, and maybe the race.
Melbourne for the Australian Grand
Oh shit, here's also low.
Prix. Bit of a scrappy Friday, partly because, well, this is a street circuit, park circuit if you like, so obviously it's going to pick up grip as the weekend progresses, and there isn't a lot of grip on a Friday. Secondly, it was pretty gusty out there, blue skies, beautiful day, packed grandstands, but nonetheless gusty. And thirdly, it's these big, heavy, large, unwieldy Grand Prix cars of this current technical era. We've got one more year to run of them. And we've seen it many times. You load up the rear at medium to high speed, and there's if rear's going to go, it's going to be very sudden.
Really
it's the amount of weight involved at the back there. It's almost a pendulum-like thing, and we saw that a lot today. Alex Albon had a big shunt, medium to high speed. Valtteri Bottas had a huge spin. Max Verstappen damaged a floor. Both Mercedes drivers had scares at high speed. And so it went on. There was a lot out there, and that's why I say it was a bit scrappy. Because of the Alex Albon thing, the red came out, and that took a lot of time out of FP1. And the really odd thing there, sad thing there really, is that because Williams didn't have a spare chassis, unlike, say, Ferrari in Vegas when the underside of Carlos's car was destroyed by that manhole cover coming loose. By the way, no recompense for Ferrari because of that. I was talking to Carlos about that. Nothing at all. No money, nothing. Incredible, isn't it? Anyway, because Williams didn't have a spare chassis, now Alex Albon is going to race the Logan Sargent car. And Logan Sargent, who's paying for that drive, is going to be watching the race from the sidelines. I think it's a very odd decision. I suppose Williams have done it because they think, well, Albon's the most likely point scorer and we've got to go for points. And they've said that Logan's been very gracious about it. But a really weird decision, I think. Bearing in mind, Logan also had a spin and managed not to hit anything. And yet Alex did in FP1. But so there you go. Such a shame for Logan Sargent. Max didn't get out till after 20 minutes going into FP2. Normally that's not an issue, but he was suddenly out of sync with everybody else and didn't really get a great soft tyre run in as a result, and didn't do a particularly long run on the medium tyre either. Speaking of tyres, Pirelli have a super soft red soft tyre here, and unusually it hasn't done much running prior to this first appearance in Formula One. It's done a bit of testing. Lewis Hamilton did the longest run in the Bahrain test, pre-season test, but it wasn't over the winter test. But it hasn't got a lot of history. And in the past, I suppose in the days of tyre war, when you had a Bridgestone and a Michelin or whatever, you would say, well, why would they bring a tyre that was so untested? In fact, they did say that. But today, they kind of like that, the powers that be. I'm talking about the powers that be, because it's almost like flipping a coin. You don't really know how this tyre is going to react. Is it going to have high deg? Is it possibly going to have...
That's why everything's so weird. Everything I mined out, this was already mined out. That's why everything looks so weird. The missing blocks was always missed because there was never there. Oh my god. Oh, I need a lot of... Oh no. That I shouldn't. Okay, back to
high wear
Peter
rate, is
Vindsor.
it going to be running really hot, whatever. But if you take into account that this race historically has quite a lot of safety car interventions, and that potentially the weather is very changeable, has been in the past, can be quite cold. It was quite a good call by Pirelli, I think, to bring in this soft tyre. And they make no bones about it. It will have quite high deg, and therefore potentially the race may not be just a standardised one-stop strategy race that we've seen in the past. Depends, of course, on a lot of other factors, safety cars particularly. But we have this tyre, and I think that's also one of the reasons it was a bit scrappy, because on that soft tyre, it seemed that you could do 2 sectors but not 3 really quickly, and that was something else, of course, that would be a factor in terms of the car losing grip. So all of that added up to Ferrari looking really impressive. And McLaren too. I shouldn't mention Ferrari without McLaren, because they had a very good day as well. As they
P1 skipped McLaren. So you're not alone with skipping them. That's true. Not skipping I think Autosport was the one that mentioned that Japan and Australia will be really good races for McLaren, and hopefully it will. First podium.
They have done in the past in FP1s, actually, in FP2s on Fridays. But Ferrari looked really strong, particularly with Charles Leclerc. Carlos back in the seat again after the appendicitis drama in Saudi Arabia. Saw him down in a coffee shop for breakfast. Looked very, very fit and ready to go. But a slightly different Carlos now that he knows he's not driving for Ferrari anymore at the end of this year. You can sort of feel that, sense that when you talk to him, and it's kind of sad in a way, I think, because he has been driving very well over the last 18 months.
Man, this is sad that Lewis Hamilton don't have to drive for Mercedes also.
Well, extremely well. He's progressed a lot. I don't want to sound any big condescending. But Charles Leclerc really good in the car today. Hasn't had particularly good runs in practice so far, on time practice, but he looked really good today on both light fuel when he was quickest and on the heavy fuel runs too. He looked very, very strong. Still a big talking point in the pit lane is what happened to his car in Bahrain and with the brakes. And I was asking quite a lot about that. And everywhere you go, it's, well, we can't possibly comment. Even companies that have nothing to do with Ferrari or the brakes on the Ferrari. So, can't possibly comment. But doing a little bit of investigative work, it turns out that some of the other Brembo, I say Brembo, by which I mean Brembo disc and Brembo caliper, because you don't necessarily have to run a Brembo caliper with the Brembo disc, and not all teams do.
I know idea what that is.
For example. But the Brembo runners, which is what Ferrari have had similar problems. That isn't the first time that sort of thing has happened. There was a temperature imbalance left to right, but also weird retardation on some laps, but not others, and then it would come back again just when you think you've got through that cycle. There was talk about, has maybe mysteriously were the brakes glazed, and I just find it so hard to believe that a guy like Leclerc, even if he lost all the sensors on the formation lap, still wouldn't be able to get the brakes more or less up to temperature and would glaze them. So I don't think it's that. So interestingly, there were quite a lot of changes made to brake discs walking up and down the pit lane between the two sessions, and I surmise that amongst the Brembo runners, they're trying different brakes from different batches to see whether it's something to do with the manufacturing thing. Not an issue other than that this always happens in Formula One, different manufacturing processes at different times can have different results. So there's a lot of back-to-backing of brakes, particularly, and we don't often see that. And I think some people, Bob Constantinos always goes on, oh, Windsor's always going about brakes, but I think it's always quite an interesting thing, and certainly an interesting thing when it becomes a problem, as it did for Charles Leclerc in Bahrain. And so the long and short of that is that I don't think anybody, including Ferrari, yet know what the real problem was there. I don't think...
Oh, hopefully they will learn it. Like Mercedes, learn how bad the car is after 3 years.
I think it was debris in the brake ducts, which is what I thought it might have been, but so many people do have debris in the brake ducts. It seems odd that they couldn't have got around that, and they wouldn't have talked about it anyway. So that was an interesting thing going on. I'm not saying it will happen again, but it's interesting that it's still something they're working on. The other thing is Lewis Hamilton's seat thing in Bahrain, which was apparently nothing broke. The seat, as I said, it's these things on which it's mounting, these studs on which it's mounted. It sort of slipped out apparently, and then just magically slipped back into the slot again. Seems a bit odd, but it was all sort of matter of fact in the way the explanation was given. So that's what that happened. I'm not sure Lewis was particularly impressed by that. So anyway, let's have a look at what Charles did with heavy fuel. 23.0, 22.8, 23.0, slow lap. He went off actually, that 27.7, he left the road. And then 22.7, 22.7, really impressive. Carlos Sainz, similarly impressive, but only one lap in the 22s, the rest in the low 23s or mid 23s. But look at the McLarens. Oscar Piastri, 22.8, 22.3, 22.4, 22.8, 22.6, 22.7. Very, very good run. Lando Norris also.
23. Okay. Oh, Sainz didn't do so good. So between 24 and 23 for Perez. Even 25. Alonso high 23. Stroll better 23. God damn it. And 24 for Russell. Where do we have Hamilton? Oh, he's so washed, we don't need him. Okay.
Doing a 22.8, 22.9 at the end of his run. So Oscar Piastri looking really good. The only driver who came in right at the end and did 2 or 3 laps on the soft tyre as well, doing a 21.4. So that's not really relevant, and obviously he'd used up a bit of fuel by then. So compare those 22.7s with Max on this occasion, not getting into the 22s. His quickest lap at 23. Sergio Perez, yeah, he did a 22.7, but then the tyres seemed to deg after that at 23.2, 24.2, 23.2, 24.1. So it looked as if Red Bull not managing the tyres at the moment on the Friday. Fernando Alonso looked very good in the Aston Martin, as did Lance Stroll. Indeed, Lance Stroll slightly quicker than Fernando on the soft tyre, 17.8, compared with Fernando's 17.9. They were 4th and 5th behind Leclerc, Verstappen and Sainz with the soft tyre runs. So Fernando, does he do a 22? He doesn't do any 22s. The quickest lap is a 23.3. So, yep, there's a big gap there between Ferrari and Aston Martin with fuel. Let's look at Lance Stroll, 22.8. He did when the tyres were relatively fresh, but then again, a bit of deg there going on, 23.1, 23.7, 24.4, and so on. So Aston Martin not too bad. Lewis Hamilton didn't really do a proper run at all and ended by saying, what times are they? He did one lap and it wasn't very good, it was a 24. And then he said, what time's everybody else doing? And they told him, and he said, oh, well, there's something wrong. And that was it. George Russell, 23.8. Yeah.
Classic Hamilton. I have a problem with this Mercedes car.
Compare that with what the McLarens are doing. So just on the top speeds, let's have a look at how these evolve between FP1 through the speed trap to FP2 and what work they may or may not have done in the pit lane, how they may have changed things. FP1, Red Bull, as ever, super quick. Sergio Perez, Max Verstappen, 3.23, 3.21. As ever, the Haas Ferraris right up there, Nico Hülkenberg. But Aston Martin quicker than they've been of late. So you've got to assume at that point they may have taken a little bit of downforce out of the car relative to other teams for Albert Park. And look at Oscar Piastri, not too bad either. McLaren quite quick in a straight line in FP1. Lando Norris not too far, both doing 3:19. Let's look further down. George Russell 3:19, yeah, kind of territory. Lewis 3:18. But look at the Ferraris. 3:17 Sainz, 3:16 Charles Leclerc. The interesting thing would be whether or not Ferrari changed that going into FP2 and gave themselves some top speed that they may need for the race, of course, because it's one thing to be super quick on a lap. It's another thing to have a great race car that is good in a straight line. So let's have a look. The Haas Ferrari still there, both 1-2 through the speed trap in the afternoon session, Kevin and Nico Hulkenberg. And all of a sudden, Red Bull, for the first time this year, not at the top of the speed traps, 3-2-2 for both drivers. Looks as if Red Bull added some wing between FP1 and FP2. Esteban Ocon's surprisingly quick in the Alpine as well. That's quite encouraging. So did Ferrari take a bit of wing out of the car? Well, maybe they did on Carlos Sainz, but look at Charles Leclerc. Quickest on light fuel. Very, very good. Can't say he was actually quickest with heavy fuel, but right up there, looking great on heavy fuel. And slowest through the speed trap. So as a result of that, it'd be really interesting to see how other teams react going into FP3 tomorrow. The problem is, of course, that the track will evolve, so that has to be brought into account as well. But if there's more grip, in theory, everybody should be able to take some wing out of the car. So it'll be interesting to see how the speed trap speeds compare tomorrow with what we've seen today. Just going down through the list of other times today, the two Aston Martins were 4th and 5th with light fuel. I'm talking about the light fuel times now. Two Aston Martins. George Russell 6, real white knuckle lap again from George. Just get this lap time out of the car, but it was very, very on the edge, and Lewis wasn't going to go there. This was not an area in which Lewis Hamilton was going to tread very comfortably, and he didn't. Why would he on a Friday? Oscar on light fuel.
Maybe tomorrow he will do
Lando, Sergio Perez 18-0, disappointing, you'd have to say. Yuki Tsunoda, top 10, looking good again, slightly quicker than Daniel. Again, 18-1, Daniel 18-5. Guan Yu Zhou, good job, 18-2 in the stake, the Sauber.
Stake Formula 1 team Kick Sauber is the name to say.
And Logan Sargent, P13, Valtteri Bottas, not too bad either. Quite a lot of upgrades on that on the Sauber, and we didn't see them in terms.
Oh yeah. Was it Bottas? Someone I heard they will have some upgrades. I didn't maybe watch it close enough, but I didn't feel like anything impressive about them.
Of lap time, but both drivers talking about potentially, certainly Q2, maybe Q3 they're looking at, so yeah, okay, we'll wait and see what happens tomorrow. The other bit of news was that there was a lot of talk here about how in 2025, Melbourne, the Australian Grand Prix, will be the opening round of the championship because of all the date clashes with Ramadan in the Middle East. It could well be back to Melbourne for the first round of the championship. That'll be fun, won't it? Anyway, looking ahead to tomorrow, Red Bull for sure will be back. McLaren, Mercedes looking strong, and potentially a great day for Charles Leclerc and Ferrari. Let's see if he can continue with that momentum into qualifying and thus the race. He looks really strong with the car in both forms, light fuel and heavy fuel. Max had a scrappy day. Let's see what happens tomorrow. See you then.
Oh, this I didn't watch. Look at speed traps. Man, I don't want to see us getting this speed traps. It ruined the race for Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team and Williams Racing. See, where do we have them? Oh, Alex Albon didn't do anything, so Logan Sargent, where do we have him? There we have him. Oh! So maybe easy points for Alex Albon. And for some reason Leclerc lost. Here, was it anything more to Yeah, there's one last thing or two, maybe. We have someone, Kym Illman, that have surprised a lot of he surprised every F1 driver, so let's see
The
what
Australian Grand Prix being my home race, I've decided to put together a stunning gift pack full of amazing products for every driver, plus one extra pack that you could win.
Hi! Could I win?
This is an amazing array of gifts, and every driver will get one of these packs. Plus,
iPhone, no. I mean, I don't feel like anything interesting. But sure, if you say so.
You could win one. And a reminder that the very last item, whilst it is the cheapest, is probably the most intriguing of the lot. I'd found it on some bizarre website and thought, right, every driver would love one of them. It'll be the last object, but well and truly worth the wait. And first up, Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra headphones, the very best. Now, I've been looking forward for some time to unboxing all of this stuff. I'm going to do it in front of you. Let's have a look. Chic, black, cordless. Oh, and so comfortable. Yes, noise cancelling. Oh, the noise cancelling's fantastic. That's full bore, and I wouldn't need it any louder than that. Do you want to have a listen? These are a beautiful set of headphones. Now, who do I think will love these? I think someone like a Lando Norris or a low.
Ricardo goes around with his music before every race, so maybe him.
Sargent, Kevin Magnussen enjoys music, as would Nico Hulkenberg. So I think, you know,
you didn't even mention Ricardo. What?
Every driver's going to love them, and I think you will too. And how do you win? Well, I'm going to get to that a little bit later on, but it's not difficult, and I'll send them to almost anywhere in the world, as long as you're happy to pick up any incoming taxes that may be charged. What's next in my bag of goodies? This. The Fujifilm Instax Mini 99. This is an amazing product. There's also some film in here. That's the camera. Oh, a mount. See if I can work this straight out of the box. This is like Christmas for me. Oh my gosh, that is so nice. And like my DSLRs, it's got a 1/4 inch socket here, so I can screw this in if I want. But there's something else in here that will work perfectly with this camera. To turn it on, we do that. Oh, I just took my first photo. What a dipstick. Wasted that one. I've just gone next door to the park and taken a photo of these two people, and I don't know whether you can see that, but it's quite remarkable. In 90 seconds, you get a mini photo. Now, I can see drivers just going crazy with this around their team and putting all their little prints up on some wall in the hospitality suite or the garage. But I love it. I think it's just so easy to use. There's no focusing. It's point and shoot. 90 seconds after you take the shot, you get to see the results on paper. What a great product this is. And to close it,
maybe
simply wind the lens back in. And that is Fujifilm's Instax Mini 99. Next up, a Leatherman. You know what a Leatherman is? If you don't, you need to know, because these are pretty much the very best multi-purpose tools you can buy. I've actually gone and had every...
What the fuck did this say? Leatherman or...
Gone and had every driver's name. These are pretty much the very best multi-purpose tools you can buy. I've actually gone and had every driver's name engraved on them. Now, Lando will get this multi-purpose tool in his pack, but so could you, because this is the one I had chosen to be the giveaway pack. What is this tool? Well, it's pliers, it's a hacksaw, a proper saw, a file, an absolute... What's on paper? Is Fujifilm's Instax Mini 99. Next up, a Leatherman. You know what a Leatherman is? If you don't, you need to know, because these are pretty much the very best multi-purpose tools you can buy. I've actually gone and had every driver's name engraved on them. Now, Lando will get this multi-purpose tool in his pack, but so could you, because this is the one I had chosen to be the giveaway pack. What is this tool? Well, it's pliers, it's a hacksaw, a proper saw, a file, an absolute razor-sharp knife, a flathead screwdriver, a pair of mini scissors, that's invaluable, a little jeweler's screwdriver, Phillips head, and a bottle opener. And this Fits in here and strap onto your belt. Now I have the Arc Leatherman, which I love. And the thing I love about it is I often need lots of screwdrivers, Allen keys, all sorts of attachments. This comes with the Arc. So essentially, look at this. I can take that one out. I can then take one of these. There's 8 of them, and each end.
Yet say Leatherman. Oh my god. Don't search that on Google. And then pictures.
And is different. Slot it into there, and bang. I've got a Phillips head there. Or if I turn it upside down, I've got a flat head. This is a very valuable tool. And when I hand these gift packs over, this bag will be chock-a-block. And I've picked a Bellroy bag. My wife said to me, you need one of these. They come in 3 different sizes. I've got the 15 litre, which is just the right size for the number of products. It's so strong, great for taking to the shops. And inside it has all these separate pouches for keeping stuff separated. Okay, what else have I got in here that I think you'll love? Oh, this is a Black Rapid sport strap. Now, you've probably seen me in photos wearing my Black Rapid straps. Now, I have a double harness, but I don't think drivers are going to need a double harness for them. I've got them this single harness. This is an amazing piece of kit. It's so much better than having a camera just strapped around your neck. This is how this sits, over your shoulder like that, and I'll use this with my brand new Fujifilm Instax. I can screw this on here, and it will just sit like that. And when I'm ready to take a photo, it's as simple as bang, like that. Now, the likes of Daniel and Lando have Leica cameras, and they have a 1/4-inch screw, which is what this is. I've had mine for years, and they just don't wear out. That's a Black Rapid strap for every driver, and perhaps you. Next up, look.
Vad är du sugen på?
Överraskar ni? Gott.
Vad kul. Finns fler i frysen.
Frysen!
Överraskas av goda bowls från Felix med minst 50% grönsaker.
Another time.
Look at this bevy of treasure from Quadlock. You might have seen Quadlock on Oscar Piastri because he is an ambassador for this product. For a start, you get an iPhone 15 Pro cover, but if you've got a different phone, I can arrange for the right one for you. So once you've got that on your phone, this bit is magnetic. It's interchangeable. If you don't like the black, it comes with an orange one or a different color depending on which pack you get. This is a mount that allows you to put it on a windscreen or anything solid and sticky. It simply clips onto the back of your phone and you can move that around. And getting these on and off is as simple as pushing and clicking. This accessory is invaluable. This is a wallet. That goes like that. My credit cards, and a little bit of cash if I want, goes in the top, and as quick as it goes on, it comes off. Does it come with a wireless charger? You bet. And how does it work? Simple as that. Plug this into a USB or a USB-C using a different cable, and you're charging your phone. And if you're a vlogger and you're looking for a selfie stick, look at this. It comes with one as well. To get this on, push, twist.
Okay, so I don't know how much all this stuff costs, but will it be more fun to give maybe a Lego McLaren car or Mercedes Lego car or Ferrari Lego car for the drivers?
Bang, look at that.
Then
I
all
can
this
walk around
stuff.
with that. Or it folds out into a tripod. Look at that.
Maybe for him is maybe this is the good stuff.
And it's got a bit of height to it too. Jeepers, that is impressive. And it folds down quite neatly and it can fit easily in your backpack or handbag. And getting it off, done. But still, there's more. It's very easy to swap this. Changing it over is as simple as that. Oh, that's excellent. And then to attach this one, you just put downward pressure and it clicks into place. Done. If you're a McLaren fan, you'll love the papaya. And the final accessory is a battery pack. Now, I've done a fair bit of research into what phones each driver has because it's important to give them the right case because it all revolves around the case to use all of these accessories. And for the YouTube Instagram giveaway, which I'll give you more details about shortly, you'll simply tell me what type of phone you have and I'll make sure I send the right one with you. Next up, I've got something that every driver will love. It's a pack from Qatar Airways, and when you fly Qatar business class, you receive an amenities kit, but it's one of the best in the air. Most amenities kits are pretty ordinary, but look at what you get when you travel Qatar, and everybody will be getting one of these. Ah, and it's my favourite fragrance in the world, 34 by Diptyque. I travelled a bit on Qatar last year, and I exhausted all of my stock, so I went and actually bought some. So it's a great marketing tool, but every driver, oh, that is gorgeous, will love this. And I did a video recently on the fragrances that the F1 drivers wear, and none of them said 34. But I think you'll find that after they get this, they will be converts, as I am. And what else is included? Lip balm, face cream, and body lotion. And earplugs, sexy socks, and a Qatar Airways eye shade. Oh, I love that fragrance. There are just 2 more items here in this Belroy Market tote bag to give away. Now, I know that this item is valued highly by every single F1 driver. What is it? It's a UU Ice Recovery Pack. And you've probably seen, without knowing it, drivers wearing this pack around their neck.
So they probably already have that. But oh my god. So much stuff that I really don't care about.
Here's George Russell, Max Verstappen, and here's F1 Academy driver Abby Pulling wearing one in Saudi Arabia last race. So what does it do? Well, you take this, you fill it with water, you stick it in the freezer, and 2 hours later you get this, which fits inside this. You zip it up and you stick it around your neck, and this will keep you cool for 2+ hours. And it's not just for F1 drivers. Any sports person that wants to keep cool will absolutely love this. So every driver, plus maybe you, is getting a UU Ice Recovery system. Now, before I get on to the final item in this giveaway pack, which is the most inexpensive but probably the most interesting, how do you win? Well, first of all, you must be subscribed to me on YouTube. So assuming you're subscribed, then you need to head to Instagram and find this post. You must be following me on Instagram and then leave a comment and tag someone. And then on Tuesday the 2nd of April, I will contact the winner via Instagram direct message to tell them they've won. Now, I would love to have done that on YouTube, but I can't contact people on YouTube.
What?
That's why I'm having to use Instagram to find a winner. I'll then ask that person what phone they have so I can send the right quad lock cover for them, and then send that package to them via courier. Now, this package will be sent from Australia, so if there are any incoming duties or charges, that will be your responsibility.
No.
So when you enter, make sure you're happy to pick up the costs, if there are any, of those incoming charges. Now, my last but not least product is Draft Top. What is Draft Top?
I don't know.
I thought the same thing when I saw this on a quirky website. But effectively, it allows me to turn this can into a proper glass drinking vessel by simply taking off the top. You put your Draft Top on there, you clamp it tight, you do 1 full turn counterclockwise, you grab it from the bottom, not from the middle, and this cuts the top out, which is quite a remarkable design.
Yeah, but you ruin the can and also less stuff. I mean, what do you do with this part? Man, some countries doesn't think about the environment.
And it turns a can into a glass. Now you can put a straw in there, you can put a wedge of lemon on the side, you can pour in your favourite mixer. But I love it, and I think the drivers will love it too. I think they'll love showing off in their hospitality suites that they can suddenly turn a can into a glass. Now every F1 driver will receive a Draft Top, a black rapid strap, a UU Ice Recovery system, a Belroy Market tote bag, a beautiful Leatherman multi-purpose tool engraved with their name on it, an Instax Mini 99 Camera Plus, an instant film pack featuring 20 sheets, an amazing pair of top-of-the-line Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra headphones, a quad lock phone cover, and a whole host of accessories, plus a Qatar Airways in-flight amenities kit with that beautiful Diptyque fragrance. All of that worth around 1,900 Australian dollars. So your next step...
Oh my god, you could bought so much Lego.
Is to head to Instagram straight away, find the competition post, tag a friend, make a comment, and make sure you subscribe to me on YouTube. And then sit back and keep your fingers crossed, because you could end up being a winner of one of these packs that every single F1 driver will get at the Australian Grand Prix. Thanks for watching, and stay passionate.
I will maybe.
16 minutes in, I can't even get the packaging open.
Unlucky. I mean, okay, the canned stuff I would say is the worst thing. I mean, why? I mean, the camera, you can say was cool. Polaroid, or what do you call when you take a photo that just get printed out. The bag, I know. I mean, yeah, sure, I have no comments on anything he will give away. I would say buy Lego, that's more fun. Maybe buy I mean, something from their side of the stuff if Lego still makes it. Or something similar. But we have one last clip before I will end the stream. And here we have it. By Aidan Millward. If only the race counted the start of 1981 South African Grand Prix. This could be interesting. I think I know about this season. Someone could have won the championship, but because of the race didn't count, he didn't win it.
One thing you might notice with these kinds of history videos is I'll be talking about one thing, but then something else will overlap with it. I'll probably end up speaking about one main topic, but mention another topic, and then I can split that into an extra video on its own so that you get all the lovely information that you might want or need from this kind of stuff. It will usually come as part of a paragraph that just explains something. It'll mention somebody, something, or somewhere, and I'll think, yeah, actually, that's one we need to look at in the future because of this, and this. And then usually what will happen is I'll eventually get round to doing it. There's no set to-do list of these, I just do whatever I feel like doing, to be honest. But at least when that connected video does get released, I hope there's an, oh yeah, you mentioned that in this video reaction from those watching. It's all about callbacks, you know, like in comedy, except I'm not a comedian. So really, this one is a callback to the video I did on the downfall of Brabham, and I was talking about Bernie Ecclestone owning Brabham and how those years were just free content within themselves. So with this particular video, I want to talk about how Bernie, who was the owner of Brabham at that time, and the FISA-FOCA War, might have cost Carlos Reutemann the World Championship in 1981. The FISA-FOCA War, along with the 1994 season, are probably the longest series I've done within the whole Storytime franchise. I mean, that's a buzzword loads of YouTubers like using, isn't it? A franchise in the racing history space, and so on. But anyway, as it so happens, those two mini-series are probably my favourite parts of Formula 1 history, purely because of how much stuff there is out there, and we'll probably never know the full story of what actually happened. The FISA-FOCA War was a series of political and business-related battles waged by FISA, what we now refer to as the FIA, and FOCA, the Formula 1 Constructors Association. Both sides represented two distinct groups. FISA was basically the exclusive club of the manufacturer teams and headed up by the FIA's French president Jean-Marie Balestre, while FOCA was led by Bernie, who, as already established, owned the Brabham team while simultaneously being more and more involved in Formula 1's commercial expansion. One battle had already been fought within 12 months of this story taking place. At the 1980 Spanish Grand Prix, the FIA fined the majority of the FOCA-aligned teams for not turning up to drivers' briefings at the Belgian and Monaco Grand Prix, despite the rules saying that they didn't have to be there. And if the fines weren't paid, the drivers who didn't show up would be stripped of their racing licenses, a threat that was non-negotiable. Thanks to King Juan Carlos of Spain, the race at Jarama went ahead, but without the sanctioning of FISA and without their aligned teams. So everybody on the grid was running a DFV, and Alan Jones won the race. Although given Jones' gap over Piquet come the end of the 1980 season, I don't think this race running would have changed anything really, unless you bring in the whole they would have driven differently in the other rounds of the season thing that a lot of people bring up with the whole Felipe Massa situation, which might get referenced again at some point during this video. But if I can find more information on that particular race, I might have to do a full video on it. See what I mean? You talk about one thing and you go, ooh, that might be interesting later on. Big brain moments. Anyway, Jones won the season and came into 1981 as the reigning champion, and the first Australian to be the reigning champion since 1967. 1981 was also the first year where it was called the FIA Formula One World Championship, as opposed to the World Championship of Drivers and the International Cup of Constructors. And thanks to the first ever Concord Agreement that would be signed a few months later, the team knew their place in terms of commercial obligations, and were now contracted for the season rather than just races. This Concord Agreement also meant that from 1982 onwards, teams had to own the intellectual rights of their cars. So the days of buying an off-the-shelf car like some privateers had done in the 70s with March, and then Cooper, Brabham and Lotus in the 60s, well, those days were going to be over soon. The season was scheduled
It's bad, man. Having to make your own car.
To be 16 races long, starting in South Africa in February and then ending in Las Vegas on the 17th of October. Along the way, it would stop in Rio, Buenos Aires, Imola, Zolder, Monte Carlo, Jarama, Dijon, Silverstone, Hockenheim, Spielberg, Zandvoort, Monza and Montreal. Montreal in September, I bet that race was fun. There was also supposed to be a race at Watkins Glen on the 4th of October, but this wouldn't mean that the final 3 races of the season would have been in North America. Due to financial difficulties with the venue, the state of New York refusing any financial help, and the drivers in general no longer being fans of the track, it was cancelled entirely and replaced with the meme that was the Caesars Palace car park. Also, the Brazilian Grand Prix was supposed to be at Interlagos on an older 7.8km layout, but due to safety issues it was canned and moved to Jack.
Yeah. Crazy, right?
No!
How long have you been in?
Go away, Ads.
Råkaka plus fullkorn. En nyhet, helt enkelt.
Carapagua instead. At this same time, Bernie and Foka were looking at organising their own breakaway series. I've done a video about that proposed breakaway series before, so if I remember, I'll do a card thingy for you. So that's the 1981 attempted split and the 2010 attempted split that I've done. But the people who attended the conference to announce that split barely had any money to get to said press conference. Mo Nunn, who owned the Ensign team, had just had to remortgage his house, and Colin Chapman had to pay for Ken Tyrrell to get to Paris. So what played into the hands of the Foka-aligned teams was that the people that organised the South African Grand Prix didn't particularly like Balestri either. So Kyalami would have been the perfect place to have this rebel Grand Prix, for want of a better phrase. And because the race always lost money, they just signed a new commercial agreement with a photocopier company, and all the contracts had basically put everything in place for a race to be held on the 7th of February, which was the date that the FIA had initially planned for the South African Grand Prix. But Balestri didn't like this idea at all and tried in any way possible to get the date shifted to the 11th of April. But the organisers had already promoted the race, sold tickets, printed posters, TV advertising done, sponsorship documents signed, and everything done anticipating a 7th of February race. In fact, the contracts basically said, this is happening. The South Africans were also concerned about the weather, because April in Johannesburg is the same as October in Britain. I mean, you could just watch footage of the 2000 British Grand Prix for a reference as to how it could have ended up. So the South African Motor Racing Club, who organised this particular event, basically said to Balestri, cope harder, we're doing this whether you like it or not. Plus, this contract says we're doing this whether you like it or not. So yeah, it was all up in the air at that point. And also there was the Argentinian Grand Prix that was supposed to be in January. Balestri managed to get that moved, but couldn't do it with South Africa. But FISA had friends, those being the continental teams of Ferrari, Renault, Ligier, Osella and Alfa Romeo. I mean, sure, Ferrari, Renault and Alfa make sense because they're manufacturers, but Ligier was known to play the political game, given that Guy Ligier had actual political connections, while I believe there was a rule that prevented Osella from joining because of how long they'd been in F1. But the FIA sent a message to the South African organisers on January the 9th saying, look, if you want to have your race, you can, but we won't be there. If you do hold the race, it won't be an official World Championship race as per Article 237 of the rules, it'll be Formula Libre instead. For want of a better phrase, Formula Libre translates to free formula. Well, it is free formula, it's a literal translation of it, but to add an extra bit onto that, it basically means run whatever the f*** you want.
The 11 teams that turned up, Williams, Lotus, Arrows, McLaren, Brabham, Theodore, Fittipaldi, ATS, Tyrrell, Ensign and March, understood the assignment. Anything that was banned on the cars suddenly reappeared. Illegal aero, illegal brakes, illegal whatever, it was there. Sliding skirts reappearing on the cars which had been banned at the end of 1979 or 1980. So you'd think then that the lap times fell, but they didn't. They were 2 seconds slower than they had been the previous year. And because it was non-championship, Avon and Pirelli weren't there to do tyre supply in an official capacity, but some tyres did make it there due to Bernie calling in a favour from the International Racing Tyre Service. They had some good years in stock, but they didn't have enough. They certainly didn't have any proper qualifying tyres. So each team had 4 sets maximum, while there was only 1 set of wets per car. Good thing it's the South African summer then, right? What's that? Oh. PK showed that he was the new fast kid on the block, putting his Brabham on pole ahead of Reutemann and Jones in the Williams cars that were the defending constructors.
Willis, Rune, Brabham's
as champions. The gap between the top 3 was around half a second, with the 18 that set a time separated by 4.3 seconds. Eliseo Salazar, who would engage in a spot of Virtua Fighter for realsies with PK a few years later, was dead last without a time, but he still started the race. On race day, it was raining. It had also rained on Friday and nobody had done any real running that day because they wanted to protect their only set of wet tyres. During qualifying on the Saturday, which was the second qualifying session they had, Reutemann had crashed pretty heavily and ended up in some catch fencing. The catch fencing then wrapped itself around his neck and started to choke him while he was in the car. But thankfully the marshals got to him and got him out of the car before, well, the unthinkable happened. And Reutemann was on a mission for this season. Carlos by this point was 39 and in the twilight of his career. He was at least at the World Champion team and had shown he was good enough. He is one of only 3 drivers to have a pole position on his debut appearance, which was back in 1972. The other 2 are Mario Andretti, who did it in 68, and Jacques Villeneuve, who did it in 1996. Throughout his career, he'd finished 3rd 3 times, and this would probably be his last attempt at winning the World Championship, something not done by an Argentinian driver since Fangio. Reutemann and Keke Rosberg were the only 2 drivers to start the race on slicks. Everybody else had gone for wets, with the rain stopping just before the start of the Grand Prix. Carlos and Keke counting on the track drying quickly with the temperatures and the short track being cleared by 19 runners. Safe to say, both of those cars made awful starts. PK led into turn 1 while Reutemann dropped to 6th or 7th as Jan Lammers in the ATS had made a Jean Alesi style flyer from 10th. Also on the grid was Desiree Wilson, a driver who had signed a local hero deal, well, heroin in this case, with Tyrrell. She qualified 16th, and not much is known about the deal that was signed, but it was seen as a bit of a U-turn on Ken's part. He'd been criticising female drivers during 1980, and suddenly he had a seat available and took a driver that no doubt brought a bit of cash. She spun off on lap 52. But it was lap 11 where the dangers of running unrestricted cars began to appear. Jeff Lees went off at pretty much the same place as Reutemann, and he also ended up in the catch fencing. He also smacked his head on one of the actual poles holding the catch fencing up and knocked himself clean out. As things settled down, the order saw PK leading while Jones started a comeback drive, but then the track started to dry out not long after Lee's accident. Jones pitted first while Mansell was in soon after, but when Jones left the pits it was still a bit treacherous in places and he went off, damaging his car, and he'd later retire with one of his skirts coming loose, which might be the last time a skirt caused a retirement. PK and Watson left it incredibly late to do their pit stops, and when they did do their pit stops, Reutemann inherited a healthy lead. He won the race by 20 seconds, lapping everybody except the top 3. Well, you can't really lap yourself, can you? Sort it out, Aiden. So Reutemann's gamble had paid off to take the victory, with PK in 2nd place and De Angelis in 3rd. Jones was the final retirement of the race, with Sura, De Cesaris, Wilson, Salazar, Lammers, Sturr and Lees also not finishing. Derek Daly brought up the rear, 3 laps down in his march. But due to the fact that this was a non-championship race, no points were awarded. On a normal day, with Fieser and Foker not arguing the toss over what was what, Reutemann would have got 9 points for winning the race, and PK would have picked up 6. Under the rules of the time, which was basically the best 11 races of the season counted towards your final score, Reutemann would have won the championship with 58 points versus PK's 56. Not the, 50 to 49 that happened in real life. I need to sort this out, don't I? So is this race the reason that Reutemann lost the championship? It's tricky to call. But one thing that does need to be considered is that this race was never a World Championship event to start with. FISA contacted the organisers in January and said that this would be the case. But another thing to consider is that at the Brazilian Grand Prix, Brabham turned up with their hydro-pneumatic suspension and destroyed everybody there, despite that system being against the spirit of both the Maranello and Concord agreements, and then everybody copied Brabham once the FIA deemed the system to be within the rules. Also during the season, the relationship between Jones and Reutemann soured. At Long Beach, the next round, Jones, the contractual number one driver, had allowed Carlos to win, but in Brazil he was miffed that the favour hadn't been returned. Despite Jones being the number one, Reutemann consistently scored more points to put him in championship contention, but then Vegas happened, which I've covered before. It would be the closest that Carlos would get to winning the World Championship because after just 2 rounds of the 1982 season, he abruptly retired. His reasoning was that he was an Argentinian driver driving for a British team, and because of the Falklands War going on, he didn't want to be put in that awkward position because it was Argentina versus Great Britain if you're not into your military history or just history in general. Patrick Head called that an excuse though. He basically said nah, his heart wasn't in it anymore and he just wanted out, but it is what it is. He'd then go into politics, being a prominent figure in the Santa Fe region and also the whole of Argentina. Some thought he'd become the president, but despite being asked to run several times, he declined every time. He'd pass away in 2021 due to complications following a brain hemorrhage. His daughter said that she'd asked Bernie to call her dad, saying that he was the real champion of 1981, which in a way connects to the recent news involving Felipe Massa. But like I said, the FISA Focal War is one of my favourite parts of Formula 1 history. Out of the ashes of this battle, Formula 1 was on its way to becoming a multi-billion-dollar industry, with commercial deals coming out of its arsehole and on television and having the stars that it's had since. Whether that's a good thing or not, well, again, that's one for you to decide in the comments. So then, a look at the 1981 South African Grand Prix and how it might...
So, you can say... I mean, it would be fun for him if that race was counted. Oh shit, need to run more. Oh, we can.
Might have cost Carlos Reutemann the title. If this has been interesting for you, then do like the video so I know a good job was done. And for more like this, get subscribed with that bell on so you never miss out on anything else I do around here. Massive thanks as ever to the fine bunch of lads over at Patreon for the continued support. And if you want to help support me at a more personal level, there is a link to Patreon in the description, along with links to Discord, socials, and other bits and pieces you might want or need to know. Well, there's super thanks down there too, and memberships if you want to do things that way. So until next time, I've been Aidan Millward. Have a great day wherever you are, and goodbye.
Goodbye. I mean, man, the crashes didn't sound so nice to witness. Oh, he mentioned something. Did Bernie ever call him and say he is the world champion? And that would be maybe nice on his deathbed to learn that, oh, I'm the world champion. Okay, but that's one way to... Hey, maybe that's something Formula 1 should do. The only reason they will bring back the Africa... Was it Africa race? Yeah, South Africa races to make it... You get no points for it. It doesn't count. So that's why we have it. But yeah. Tomorrow, let's see. Where do we have it? In 3 hours, Formula 3 sprint race will happen. And then no. Oh my god, come on. There we have the sprint race in 3 hours, you can say. There we have it. Then we have practice for Formula 1 in 4 hours and 30 minutes, you could say. And then we have the sprint race for Formula 2 in 6 hours and 10 minutes. And where is there? And then we have the qualifying for the most important thing. Formula 1. And that's in 7 hours and 40 minutes. So no, go away. I wanted like that. So this will be, I mean, I'm already tired and then I will be up until the qualifying. This will be painful. But that will happen tomorrow. And removing of that part will happen also underwater. Then I don't know what I will be doing. It's a tomorrow problem. But for now, I would say, yeah, for now, nothing more. Let's see, what do you say? Yeah, hopefully a good qualifying for Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris. But until